going to talk about debt repair. What we're trying to achieve here is we want the members to all be debt-free. Right? And then hopefully we can stay there. So this is kind of part of my debt consulting service that I would like to provide for members. I haven't figured out a pay structure or anything. I'm probably going to do this on a pay what you feel, whatever it makes sense. Whatever value you think I brought to your finances, you can offer me something.
And the money goes straight back to Cafe Cadenza.
Pretty much. So this is a service I'm willing to provide because I know it's worked for me. So I guess a little bit about me. I've been through bankruptcy and I've hit the bottom and I've pulled myself out, and now I am not only debt free, but I have money in savings, right? So I actually kind of want to go through my finances and how I kind of work that magic, and we'll just kind of run through that. So we're looking at ways to improve. So we're kind of getting back to what your income is. We're going to get a little deeper though. So we'll start using my money, or at least when I was working in animation, we'll work with that. Cash flow is roughly maybe $1,800 per month when I'm really good, but obviously I cut into that when I do extra things like go to a festival, or I buy something that is not part of a need, but let's say I spend $500 on a course or some money on books. So anyways, that's my cash flow. And for a time when I was really frugal, I was legit putting that much money in my bank, in my savings every month. Because it was starting to feel good, but then I was also realizing I was being extra frugal, and I'm like, maybe I need to live a little. So anyways, working with a cash flow like that is fine. But the way I was kind of getting myself out of debt was using a method called paycheck parking. Now you can Google this, find it on YouTube. There's plenty of resources out there. If you type in paycheck parking, you will get some interesting examples. And the way it works is you need two things. You need a line of credit. And two, you need a credit card. Okay. So this is how I've kind of managed and budgeted my expenses. And so the way this works, you've got kind of two containers, right? Well, we've got one. Here's the credit card. And then here is the line of credit. Okay. Now, the thing with a credit card is they're typically anywhere between 20 to 30% interest. Your line of credit is going to be some low interest rate plus prime, right? So it'll be maybe 3% plus prime, whatever the prime interest rates are across Canada in our case, and whatever country you're in. So typically the line of credit is, obviously it's much better than that level of interest. However, the benefit to having a credit card is you've got basically almost a 30-day or 21 or 30-day grace period. Or I guess I should say interest free. So basically, if you start filling up your credit card, right? So this is imagine this is your maximum, right? And you're only utilizing a certain percentage of your credit. You don't have to pay interest on this for the first 21 to 30 days, depending on your schedule and when your credit card payments come out. However, if I put any money on here, interest accrues from day one, and they calculate the interest per day. So the way I work my finances is basically everything that I can take. So all my expenses, I'll dump it right into my credit card. That's all my bills, all my groceries, any expenses I can throw in there, I will. And then I'm giving myself a grace period, right? But it doesn't mean you just let that go. It just means I'm giving myself a bit of an extension. And let's say, so when your month comes in, you can take from your line of credit to start paying this off, right? So, for instance, let's say it's free and clear. And let's say at the end of the month, you've got like a pretty big bill. You're like, wow, I went on vacation, did a whole bunch of things. Wasn't expecting to put like, I don't know, let's say $3,000 on that credit card, right? Now, my cash flow here per month is only $1,800. So you're like, oh, well, now I'm in debt, right? Well, not totally. I can start reducing my interest. I can start saving a bit by, well, first things first, I can wait till the end of the 30 days. Just pay whatever I need to pay. And what I'll do is I will pay out of my line of credit. So I'll take that same amount, I'll throw it here, and just pay this off completely, right? Now it's in the line of credit after 30 days. But now I have to make this. So remember, day one is I'm paying interest. However, if I time it right, if I pay off this credit card with my line of credit, immediately I can start dumping my entire income into that line of credit, right? So like, let's say the next day I just dump the 4,000 into it, or well, I only need to take 3,000. So in fact, I probably could have just paid off this whole thing, right? And granted, I'll pay a little bit of interest, but I'll have tackled the whole thing. Let's say it was even larger though, okay? Let's say this had accrued to like $8,000. I was using my line of credit to pay down the credit cards. I'm in debt. So what I'll do is I'll take this whole monthly income. When I get paid, I'll just dump it right in here, right? So what that's going to do, it's going to now reduce it to 4,000. But then what's going to happen over time is, well, I got bills to pay and whatever, so I'm going to have to start, maybe I got to take money back out for rent. So then it starts coming up again. So now maybe I'm at 5,000. But then come the next paycheck, I'll just keep dumping money. So I slowly shaving it, and then it comes back up. So it kind of stares down, and eventually you pay it down. But because what you're doing now is you're reducing how much interest you're paying. Instead of 20 to 30%, you're paying this lower interest rate on a line of credit. Also, every single time you dump money in here, so if I'm doing this twice a month, every time I get a paycheck, every time I dump money here, that counts as a payment. So there is no like there are minimum payments that you have to make. However, I don't even think about that. I just dump money in here, take it out as I need it. So this serves as kind of like an account on its own that has a limit. You are paying interest to use it, but it's definitely good to bring it down. You want it at zero. You want low credit utilization. But that's one method I use. And by throwing everything on a credit card, it's a nice way to look at your budget. It's a nice way to say, wow, because it simplifies all these extra numbers. You know, you got groceries, you have other bills. This could be a list of like 10 different things, right? But if everything just goes here, you just get to see at the end of the month, okay, I spent, like, what is my balance at the, or my statement for the credit card? That is telling you how much money you're spending every month on everything else except for, like, say, rent or whatever.
And so what is the benefit of putting it into the credit card beside that 20 and 30 days leeway? And why don't we just directly take it from, let's say, a bank or a loan of credit in the beginning?
Well, because of that 30 days, you can put, like I said, you're only being charged interest after the first month's statement. Mm-hmm. Whatever, if you don't bring that balance to zero, you start paying interest on whatever's left over. Mm-hmm. So we put it here to give us the time to make the money, and then to dump it in here, and then hopefully, like, we pay it off. If we can't pay it off, we use our line of credit to pay it off.
Makes sense.
And that line of credit, we just shifted from a 20% to probably less than 10% interest being paid. And then the thing with this too, it's also revolving. And what's nice about a line of credit too is you can take out cash. If you take out cash from a credit card, you're being charged interest from day one. Plus, they usually add a fee. Line of credit, you can almost treat it like cash, but you will be charged the interest like any other money you might take out of there. So line of credit isn't necessarily like gonna just save you. It's using these things to your advantage to make sure your bills are always paid on time. That if your bank keeps seeing that you're paying off your credit card every month,
then your credit goes up.
Your credit goes up. You always have on-time payments. Now, what you do want to be sure of is your credit utilization. And so when they're looking at your credit score, they're looking for how much money are banks willing to loan you. So let's say I have my line of credit is $15,000, right? And let's say my credit card's the same, it's $15,000. So I have a total of $30,000 credit, right? But let's say $8,000 is filled up here. So 8, or let's round it up to 10. So $10,000 is being used.
So that's 30%.
So exactly, it's 33.3%, right? So 33% credit utilization. Ideally, you want that number to be less than 30%, as low as you can get it as possible, but you want to definitely have at least more available than you do have used. So I'd say at least keep this below 50, but if you can keep it below 30, even better. And I'm just noticing that the more that I keep following this process and staying debt-free, the more banks are actually telling me, hey, you want a new line of credit? Hey, you want an increase on your credit card? And remember, these are not free passes to fill them up. It's just improving my utilization. So if all of a sudden they start bumping this up an extra 10 here and a 10 here, so this goes to 25, my debt could stay the same, but now I'm at 50K. And so now my credit utilization is down to 20% instead of the 33%. With nothing has changed other than the credit card companies have decided to increase my limit. So those are factors. So the two main factors are your credit utilization and your on-time payments, which having a pair of the line of credit and the credit card can ensure this. You'll always make sure your credit cards are always paid, and you just want to try to keep those things low. So that's kind of how I was getting myself out of debt.